When I understood this, when I discovered this and started studying it, man, did it help. It was just like lifting a veil off of my eyes. And it was like one of those moments I was blind, but now I see. And that is, it's not people that fight. It's not people that fight. That's what most people think. It's levels of understanding that fight. It's levels of understanding that fight. See, I understand some things, and you understand some things, right? And we are going to defend what we believe that we understand unless we know and understand and are aware there's different levels of understanding, right? Levels of understanding is just basically how do you think? How do you think when you're put into an environment that you're not familiar with? So if I took you and I put you in the Amazon jungle, how would you think? What would you access? How would you process stuff in order for you to survive in that environment? Or I took you and put you in a federal penitentiary. How would you adapt to that environment, right? So we got to look at how do we think? What do we access, really? And really when you get into levels of understanding, which is another way of saying spiral dynamics, is that it's our level of maturity. It's our ability to adapt. It's our ability, what do we hang on to and what do we let go and how do we advance and how do we become flexible and how do we grow? All of these are parts of levels of understanding, right? And right now there's about 8 or 9 levels of it, and it's not a hierarchy level, it's an awareness level, okay? It's a holistic level. So it's like dropping a rock into a glass pond, right? It's going to ripple, and those ripples, the more ripples you create, the more awareness you have, the more bandwidth you have that you can access. But see, the interesting thing about levels is that 1 through 6, each level thinks that it is the level, it is the best, and people will defend it. Some people will even kill for it. Like level 4 is where the Reformation took place, right? You thought that the earth was round, and you thought about gravity, and you thought about different things like that went against what those people thought. They burned you, right? And level 5, which is the rationale, which said, you know what, I'm done living inside of a box. I'm not going to live my life on faith anymore. I want evidence that these things that you talk about are real, and which is where science and the entrepreneur is born. And then that went to extreme, and then level 6 came along, which is the pluralism, right? Which is where ecology for the planet came around, save the whales, feminism, right? Unions, all these things came out of that, right? Which were good things in the beginning. What the intention was good, but it ended up getting corrupted, right? So it's being able to look at things this way and understand this, right? Because the more we invest into something, the more we are going to have to defend it. But see, we got to understand that me investing into something is also creating and putting me into a box. But see, there's something magical that happens at level 7. And this is an assessment I do with my clients, is I literally show them where they're at and what they need to do in order for them to expand their levels of understanding. But see, at level 7, that's called the integral level. And why it's called the integral level is because all the previous levels integrate, right? And it's at level 7 that you understand that each level is necessary in order to evolve to level 7. But see, until you get there, you're thinking, this is it, this is my deal, right? So it's not people that fight, it's levels of understanding, right? Just like parents and children. If parents don't understand that that child is being raised in an entirely different culture than the parent was, they're going to be at odds, right? Because the parent wants the child to think like they do, and the child wants to be respected and understood, like, I got my own thing going on here, right? Again, not looking through the eyes of duality, right? Each one of them contributed to the next level, right? Just like people right now where we're at think that, every piece of land was acquired and conquered by war. Not every piece, but most pieces of land were conquered by war, right? That was part of our evolutionary process. That's where the understanding that we had at that time when it happened, right? It's not so much the deal anymore because all the land has been conquered, right? Yeah, there's still wars going on for sure. But see, it's not people that fight, it's levels of understanding. So I'd encourage you to check into it, my friend. Got a great course on it called the Potential Code. Check it out. So I hope this served you. And as always, live like your life depends on it, because it does. Be blessed.